Hello and welcome to the Denim Think Tank. My name is Tricia Carey and I'm Director of Global Business Development for Denim at LENZ. We transform trees into TENCEL lyocell and modal fibers, which are used by leading denim mills and brands around the world. To learn more about TENCEL Denim, you can visit our blog, Carved in Blue, or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. To see amazing denim videos from our mill partners and brand partners, our series on Headspace, and conversations like these, you can check out our YouTube channel, Blue LENZ. Today we are discussing the dynamics of Indian denim. India is a thriving, noisy, joyful, confusing, confounded democracy in the cradle of an ancient, vibrant, youthful, and creative culture, according to Sun Group Vice President Shiv Khemka in a 2019 interview. India's rise is one of the 10 trends highlighted in the 2019 State of the Fashion report from Business of Fashion and McKinsey & Company. India is expected to grow faster over the next few years and surpass China in production. According to the Business of Fashion, there are 121 billionaires in India, around 20% of whom have made part of their fortunes from the booming fashion market and the country's rapid economic rise. The apparel category alone is forecasted to grow at an impressive 8% annually, reaching 59 billion by 2022, approaching that of the UK or Germany. And India's dynamic middle class is estimated to grow 19.4% annually during the same period. Growth potential appears to be everywhere. In the era of globalization, younger Indians prefer denim as part of their essential wardrobe. As consistent with the Indian consumer story, the middle class is primarily driving the boom of the denim marketplace. All Indian generations are embracing denim more than ever. However, 85% of the denim market is dominated by menswear. Indian production and consumption has grown at a compounded annual growth rate of as much as 15% over the past decade and is predicted to develop at a similar rate in the coming years. However, more recently, with oversupplying plaguing the denim industry internationally, as well as the low demand and a liquidity crunch, there is an impact on the domestic market. Despite a strong response at the outset of the pandemic, India has experienced the world's fastest growing outbreak of COVID-19 in absolute numbers, according to the World Health Organization. The country has responded well in many regards, especially for such a large and diverse nation. It is recognized internationally that India has the expertise in medicine, public health, research, and manufacturing to lead the nation through the COVID-19 pandemic. However, the question arises, has the pandemic inflicted permanent damage to the denim sector? Has it effectively turned the denim fabric manufacturing sector from a sunrise industry to a sunset industry? Joining us today to discuss these topics and more, we have Aamir Akhtar, CEO of Arvind, Aditya Goyal, CEO and Managing Director at Anubha Industries, and we have Subir Mukherjee, who's Business Head at Bhaskar. So we are actually pre-recording this discussion due to time zones, and we will be broadcasting it and taking your questions that we will answer live. So we'll get started today and talk about what's currently happening now in India. We saw in March that the mills shut down at the start of COVID. Indian denim mills started to open as the West was shutting down, and we continued to see closures and reopening. What is the current situation in India, and what capacity is your current business? We'll start with you, Aamir.
Thank you, Tricia. Real pleasure to be on this webinar. Thank you for inviting me to join for this. India is no different from any other country. I think it was a huge shock when in March we had to go for a lockdown. and it was a long lockdown for us. And the way the market is, we have a small market, which is Indian domestic market, which is driven by the brands, international brands and national brands. And there's a very large market, which is driven by the tier 2 and the tier 3 brands. And we were in the middle of, let's say, products going in for spring in March. So, when this whole thing came for a halt, so all the merchandise, right? So the merchandise in the stores, the merchandise in the warehouses, with the garment makers, and of course with the fabric people like us, everything came to a halt. And then, like, globally, all the brands started to sort of hold on to these inventories and started to repurpose them for, let's say, the upcoming festival season and then the sort of spring summer season. So everybody stopped buying. So if we see the situation now, what we're seeing is that these pipelines getting empty, and with purely given the size of the economy, 1.2 billion people. So even at a very, very low buying rate, we have seen that the inventory is getting depleted across the channel. And now people are looking at replenishing these inventories. And we see that it's more about the tier 2 and the tier 3 brands, which is more value for money. That's where it is more, denim is more, let's say, more functional. It is more workwear. And then as you move to the national brands, it's more fashion. I think it's more workwear where people do need that pair of jeans. And that's where the demand has kicked in. Kids wear, that is a segment because kids keep growing. So the lockdown didn't stop the kids from growing. So they have gone back and, they're buying. So that's what we see, early stages of demand recovery now.
Very interesting. Yes, the pipeline needs to be replenished. Subir, what are you seeing in the current market?
Yeah, thanks, Tricia. It's really lovely joining you here on this recorded webinar. See, as you said rightly, lockdown in India started quite early in the COVID cycle, if I may call it. If you look at what is happening in the West, there's no lockdown. People are really making merry, but a lot of death. So India implemented lockdown pretty early in the COVID cycle, and that was very much required, looking at Indian infrastructure on medical infrastructure. Now, what happened is, by the end of March, almost half of 60% of American states and quite a few states in Europe, countries in Europe, were having serious issues in COVID, which triggered cancellations. So I think this Indian lockdown and cancellations from Western world probably was happening at the same time. So I think this 2 months complete no production one way helped, because there's no order for people who are exporting. Like, Indian economy went into an absolute tailspin. It probably one full season is completely lost, and it is coming back to normalcy as of now. If we look at Indian malls, it is still May. Malls were not working fully. Probably August is the first month when malls work 7 days a week. Previous prior to that, most of the cities were having malls were working 5 days a week. Weekends have complete lockdown. What we see from the report, retail report, organized retail report, show few of the brands are getting back to between 60 to 70% of last year pre-COVID sales, which is very, very encouraging. Now, as Aamir said rightly, the pipelines are getting empty. We can see some sense of order coming back to system. The lower end commodity segment is acting faster. Fashion is slower, but let's hope, we're keeping our fingers crossed, getting back to normalcy.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that we've lost a whole season, and we might even be losing 2 seasons. I think this is what we're seeing really around the world. With the size and scope of the domestic market in India, how are local sales? What are you seeing happening now in the stores? Subir?
Well, I mean, Indian denim local consumption is almost about 900 million consumption annually. Unfortunately, that account, Indian export is quite low compared to the size of capacity in India. So this 900 million as of today, probably clocking at about 50% of this. Current sales will not be more than 450 million annualized, which is probably about 37, 40 million per month. Now, this is primarily happening at the workwear low-end segment, where the pair of jeans retailed at sub $10. So there's a very different segment, which is Indian. You see, one good part in India right now is the monsoon has been good. So rural economy is doing much better. The COVID fear you can see mostly in the big cities, the smaller BC towns and villages. You don't see really a fear of COVID. So those markets are working well. But otherwise, I think overall, if you see at the mid-level, 60 to 70% operations is happening at mid-level. Retail is happening probably at the same time. I don't know.
Okay, interesting. Aditya, what is your perspective?
Hi, Tricia. Thanks for having me here. The Indian domestic market is a very different market compared to all other markets globally. The products which get consumed in the Indian domestic market would not be getting consumed in such huge quantities elsewhere in the world. So in that manner, it does isolate the Indian mills from a certain amount of global shock, or in terms of stockpiling or any kind of, that's one side of it. But on the other side, India has seen a dramatic growth in terms of denim capacity over the last 5 years. So wherein virtually everything that is being made in denim has been commoditized within the country as well. So, but in India, as what Aamir was saying and what Subir was saying just now, the Indian market is being kept afloat to a certain extent by the rural economy of the country. Now, right through the pandemic, the farming community has been able to sell their products. They have been getting a good amount of money in terms of support from the Indian government and from various state governments. So in that manner, the demand and consumption in the unorganized retail segment has come back to normalcy. But in the urban centers, which are primarily the consumers of the high-end fashion products, or even, let's say, the college-going crowd of the country, now that's where the demand has taken a tremendous setback. And for that to get normalized is going to be a much, much, much longer cycle. Even after, let's say, the urban sectors being opened up by the various governments and malls being allowed to open, maybe schools will start also opening up in the next couple of months, because here there has been a significant loss of income from most people. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people are not seeing money coming in from either their employers or for their businesses. So a lot of discretionary spending is being avoided. So in the urban centers, demand and consumption coming back to normal, or let's say demand which is in line with, let's say, what the global market wants, is going to take a much, much longer time. And with respect to that, most Indian mills, I really doubt, will see a capacity utilization of more than 45 to 55% over the next 6 months as well.
Yes, it's definitely going to take some time, and I question if we'll even go back to that same level of consumption that we had prior to the pandemic. We're also facing in the denim industry, besides all of the issues around COVID, but environmental issues also are a concern, as well as social rights. How is your company supporting social programs? What are you doing around fair market wages, women's rights, equal rights? Aditya, what are you doing at Anubha?
At Anubha, see, right from time Anubha was conceived as a project, we've been very clear that we don't want to shortchange either our people or the surrounding environment where we operate in terms of their rights or in terms of abilities, capabilities. As a family, we've been very involved in all social reform projects or social build-up projects, even before Anubha came into being. We support schools. We are participating in many school projects in Surat and in our villages. Plus, we participate in a movement called the One Teacher, One School, run by the Friends of Tribal Society, wherein virtually all of us, all our group companies, as well as all our senior family members are participants, wherein we try and bring education to the last, to those corners, nooks and corners of the country where the government still has a challenge in trying to set up an infrastructure by bringing in volunteers and supporting their welfare so that they can provide certain amount of education to the children who otherwise would be denied any amount of, for whom going to school might be a luxury or something that they might not be able to do otherwise. So that has been one of our passion projects right from the beginning, and that automatically gets built up year on year with the cumulative efforts of everyone involved. In terms of opportunity, we as a company have never subscribed to a discriminatory policy or not allowing a certain section of people to work with us or having different pay profiles for everyone. Yes, but to be honest, we've not been very successful in making sure that our entire organization has a very, very diverse workforce. That is something that we are trying to make amends over the next few years. Luckily, now the various Indian governments' policies are also changing towards allowing women to work across 24 hours, which earlier was a restriction when it came down to the manufacturing industry. There was a certain hesitation also in the minds of the women folk, knowing sometimes that yes, the industrial areas in India might not be the safest of places for everyone to be at odd hours. But with a changing mindset and with changing rules, I'm sure that over the next few years, we will be able to make a significant change in the diversity of our own workforce. Other than that, for us, making sure that yes, the social good that we can contribute towards, primarily in the field of education, is a non-stop activity, and that, I mean, over the years, this has grown and it is only going to grow further also.
Wonderful. Great to hear about those education programs. Aamir, what about you at Arvind? What are you doing from a social side?
So Tricia, in terms of Arvind's history, thanks to Arvind's history, it's almost about 100-year-old organization now, right? So the people that you have working for Arvind, both, I mean, primarily the sort of the blue collar, they've been here for a very long time, and quite a few of them are like second generation or third generation. So the biggest challenge that you have globally is about people not being paid minimum wages, right? I think just purely by, historically, the workforce that you have here is way, way, way above minimum wages. So I think that's not really a concern. People are being paid very, very well, and they're being looked after very, very well. So that, as far as blue collar is concerned, that's a very, let's say, a very a good relationship with them, and being looked after very, very well. Then, as far as Arvind's initiatives are concerned, again, being sort of having a history of close to 100 years, Arvind has been very active in the Gujarat, the state in which we are, in the whole milieu of Gujarat. And it is really commendable, the work that has been done in the field of creating globally renowned institutions based out of Ahmedabad, which Arvind has been instrumental in. So renowned institutions like Indian Institute of Management Ahmedabad, the National Institute of Design, Central Institute for Architecture and Planning, National Physical Research Laboratory. These are like marquee institutions who are treated to be one of the best in their fields globally, not only in India. So Arvind has been very, very sort of active in this whole field of giving it back to the society. And then also a lot of work being done at the grassroots level. So schools, colleges, primary education, secondary education. And then, of course, there's a way, way larger initiative, which is about the farming initiative. So the farms where we're working with the farmers to grow all kinds of cotton, to be able to sort of, this whole thing about sustainability bit. So a lot of good work is being done there, Tricia.
Wonderful, great to hear, and I like the connection from the farming back to what we're doing. We often forget about that. Now, we have to look too at what's happening from an environmental standpoint. With 50 million tons of textile and apparel waste that's discarded annually, how can the denim industry truly make an impact? How is this part of your company vision? Aamir, what are you doing to address the textile waste?
So this is a big one, right? This is a big one, Tricia, globally, and I commendable work being done by you, right? I mean, by the work being done by Lenzing, really commendable work. You know what you've done with Refibra. So this is the big discussion globally across the value chain, right? So right from farming to to the final product, as to this whole thing about upcycling, this whole thing about circular fashion. So we are on it in a big way. And as far as waste is concerned, at every level we see a lot of opportunity to control that waste and to see to it that that is used gainfully, right? If we start from water, so at Arvind, Tricia, we are now 100% zero blue water manufacturing. So earlier on, we used to draw a lot of water from the ground. To talk about the denim business, we need about close to, let's say, 7 million liters or 8 million liters of water per day, and we used to take it from the ground. And we were not happy doing that. We realized that, look, this is where people have a problem finding drinking water. We're drawing so much of water from the ground. So first and foremost, we started working to see as to how do we stop doing that. So we approached the municipal corporation, and they were very supportive. And then so we started taking water. So now we've set up a real state-of-the-art sewage treatment plant inside the premises, and we stopped drawing any water from the ground. And it is like Ahmedabad's drinking water requirement, 3 days of drinking water requirement is being sort of saved by being able to use the sewage water and not drawing fresh water. So that was, we were taking fresh water and then we were letting it go to like a waste. And after that, of course, this whole thing about recycling, so post-industrial waste, post-consumer waste. So that's a large part of our business now. Indian market is still to catch on it, but globally, internationally, all brands and retailers are very keen on that. And we're seeing that we're using a lot of fibers. It's the Lenzing range of fibers as well, plus cottons in various forms of recycling going back into the product, and we're seeing that that's gaining ground. Every month on month, that's gaining ground. So a lot of work is being done, and then of course there's this whole cutting edge work happening. When we talk to startups, where this whole thing about getting post-consumer waste back into the mainstream, either through dissolving it back through the solvent route or mechanical recycling. Multiple very interesting things happening, and I think we're on the cusp of some big breakthroughs there. That's what I think.
I think so too. I think we're beginning to really figure out ways to address this. Some are, like you said, mechanical recycling. Some are with chemical recycling, right? Like Refibra technology, or even a combination of both of those together. Aditya, what are you doing to address circularity?
Something similar to what Aamir has said. My focus has been that, yes, to ensure that the entire raw material basket that we use should largely be part of the circular economy. Now, having said that, I am slightly concerned with the amount of effort that is going into the mechanical recycling bit, because there the challenge is always, I find that, yes, somewhere or the other, the aesthetics of the product are always going to take a beating. Now, a lot of proponents of chemical recycling would again, a lot of chemical recycling initiatives are questioned with the challenging the fact that, yes, again, you're putting in energy, again, you're trying to generate a certain amount of carbon footprint by doing X, Y, Z, by treating them chemically. But I find that, yes, if the products can be brought back to a significantly good condition in terms of strength, and it saves the waste from going to a landfill, then yes, it's a better of the two evils, because it will definitely improve the overall life cycle of the product. It will add a few more years to the life of the product. It might enhance the durability of the reborn products made through that route. Whereas with the mechanical recycling bit, there is always going to be a challenge as to what happens at the next stage. Are we seeing an end of the life product? Are we again seeing a scenario wherein the end consumer might buy the product for the sake of their commitment towards a circular apparel? Okay, they might be influenced by that decision, but whether the aesthetics, whether the strength of the product is going to allow it to be durable or not. So I'm all for chemical recycling. I think that yes, that is something that needs to grow in a significant volume in order to make sure that the raw materials are easily available, are available at an economical scale for most brands and most consumers to be able to make them a large part uh, of of your collections, which some right now is a challenge. Right now, yes, when we start talking about the commercial, when we start talking commercially, then yes, every recycled product has its own pricing challenge, which, in spite of all the good intentions and in spite of all the initiatives being shown forward by most people, it fails to become a significant part of a retailer or brand's library of products that they want to sell. So I think, yes, we definitely need to see a significant increase in volume of availability of, let's say, a Refibra or a Renew Cell, or what the Infinited Fiber company is doing. And a greater amount of global distribution needs to happen in terms of production capacities, so that yes, we are in a position to commercialize it, something similar to how cotton has been commercialized globally. So once that happens, I'm sure that yes, we will see a significant thrust happening to circularity. But till that time that it does not happen, I'm sure circularity could also get converted into another greenwashed word, like what we've been seeing on sustainability.
Yeah, good point there. There's a lot of talk about it, but where are we scaling? What's the commitment of the brands is also an aspect that I see. But you're right, there's trade-offs, and most of all, we need to have quality products that last. Otherwise, we're defeating the whole purpose to begin with. You know, another aspect that keeps coming up right now in the industry is around transparency. The discussions of who is making the product, knowing where they're coming from, how much is really too much transparency, and do you think that consumers really care? Aditya, we'll go back to you on this one.
See, to be honest, I really doubt that a consumer cares. A consumer cares about what he is buying or what he or she is buying. And they would want to go back to those particular brands wherein they are comfortable with the fact that, yes, this brand is ethical in its true sense. That the brand not only produces a good product, but is also producing it in the right way. Now, when I say the right way, it is purely their trust in that particular brand. Most consumers don't know how the manufacturing happens. They might get shocked when, let's say, there are news items about injustice or bad malpractices happening at various facilities which are being used by a brand. So, but at the end of the day, they don't know anything more than that. Now, for the brand to make sure that yes, they want to be transparent, they just need to make sure that they're working with the right people. The moment you start working with the right people and you pay for the right quality, and you pay for the right, you pay the right amount of money which is required for a product to be manufactured properly, I really don't think transparency will then become an issue. I mean, today, most companies, most large companies, and I'm sure both Subir and Aamir will also agree, uh, today we are big companies, we have to have systems in place, we have to have traceability in place. purely to make sure that yes, we know how things are within our facilities. Now, for us not to know, or for a manufacturer not to know what is happening, or to install traceability down to the next level, is something which is there. Now, you need to actually work very hard in order to break the traceability. So if you want to purposefully create, you've done a mistake, covering it up in any organization is now a greater challenge than being able to tell people very clearly exactly what you consumed, where you bought it from, and where has the other person bought it from. So I think it's more a matter of trust. It's more a matter of again agreeing to the right commercial values of the products that are being bought and that are being sold. And if that is truthfully put in place, I'm sure all of us can be assured that yes, that no one is going to be shortchanged, and no one is going to be fed products which have not been made in the right conducive environments that we all aspire to be. Every company has a certification. I mean, this again goes against the grain of transparency, that on one level we are certified by God knows how many platforms, we are registered with how many auditors, and in spite of that, there is a question on transparency. So this trust deficit needs to be broken. This trust deficit needs to be taken away. Once that is done, I'm sure all brands can be assured that yes, they are getting the right products coming in from the right place. But as I said, everyone needs to actually understand the true value of the product that they want to sell. Once that happens, I'm sure that the challenge on transparency will get eliminated.
Yeah, good point on that trust deficit. I like that. Aamir, what are your thoughts around transparency? How much is really too much, and do we have already more certificates than what's needed?
So I would agree with Aditya 100% on this, that this whole thing about transparency is a part of the brand promise, right? So when a consumer goes to a brand, so it's way beyond the product. I mean, he buys or she buys a product, but there's way more than a product that he or she ends up getting from the brand. So it's like the price value equation. And I believe, it's like, if you go to a restaurant, you don't go to the kitchen, you don't want to, but you know that, look, I trust this restaurant. And the restaurant curates food for you, and this curation has got everything around it, right? So that's what consumers expect from a brand. And that's why brands are so careful, because the promise that they're giving to the customer, to their customers, it has to be backed up by this. And that's why they want to go through this traceability and to go through. And it's not just about our industry. We've seen it happen in many, many other industries. And if industries have not been transparent about their practices, we've seen that large companies have come to a closure. So these stakes are so high that I believe brands have become extremely sensitive towards it. And also what is happening is that earlier on, it was difficult, but as technology has been able to solve quite a few things and bring down the cost of quite a few things, I also see that happening in the space of transparency. So with this whole blockchain-based accounting going forward, similarly, the whole DNA marker-based genetic tracing and tracking, you've seen the whole challenge with, let's say, cotton. I mean, cotton coming out of certain regions globally has come under a lot of cloud, and business models are under impact. Companies are under closure because suddenly, geopolitical reasons, a certain cotton has got a bad name to it, right? We've seen it happen in the past also. So the stakes are very, very high, and I think this whole transparency is there to stay, and possibly the cost of transparency might go down as technology evolves. That's my view on it.
Yes, the cost of transparency for sure, and blockchain is one solution. We've seen that denim imports have decreased in the United States. It's down almost 30%, and we've seen that knit sales tend to make up some of that difference. Are we entering another denim to knit cycle? What does the denim industry need to do in order to avoid the demise of denim? And we'll start with you, Subir.
Tricia. this denim to knits reminds me a comment by, I think, the almighty God, Adriano, I think back in 2013, when the knit hit the market. I think it was diesel, and he said, weavers beware, it's going to be all knit because of the comfort. I'm sure he was absolutely right on the comfort factor, but knit is not really going to replace denim ever in life because it's not sturdy enough to be worn as a bottom wear. Denim has seen bad days when cotton hit $3 a pound. That was the worst time for denim because denim has to be heavy. So knit to denim, I think what's happening, if you see for the last 6 months, when you have been doing more call on the to the mobile or to the this thing, so we can see only what I'm wearing in the top, not on the bottom. So denim sales being lower is because of pandemic, because we're not visiting offices, because we're not partying, and it's going to come back for sure. It's not a denim is not challenged by anything except itself. I think is the most evolving and the fastest evolving product ever. The way denim was defined 20 years back and what we wear today as denim are really very different. It doesn't fall into the definition of denim anymore. So this ever evolving youngest textile product is denim, is not challenged by anything else. That's what I think. A pair of jeans in Walmart, the lowest price value would be $11, and a T-shirt costs $4. Again, the lowest price. We can afford 3:1 at the same value. I think we are in denim is in. Of course, what's troubling is denim is arguably the most polluting of apparel because it discharges color throughout its life. A lot of research and a lot of work is happening on how to design a product where you put in color as much as is required. You take off as much as is required, and once it is after industrial laundering, whatever you buy, it remains young forever. So the color discharge during home laundering is minimized and things like that. So that's the challenge, more looking at sustainability than for commercial value. That's what I believe. So your denim is indomitable.
Exactly. Yes, denim will not go away. We'll see. Aditya, what is your take on this about denim trends versus knits?
I think denim has now transcended all boundaries in terms of, it is no longer classified as a traditional heavyweight woven fabric anymore. Now, we've seen, in our factory itself, we are building denims as light as 3 ounces and going as heavy as 14. We are doing circular knit denims. We are also trying to bring in performance into denims. So, and plus now denim again is no longer talked about purely with the classical indigo color, which, that as Subir was saying, is going to be heavily polluting. The denim, I think now the definition of denim has largely become with the constructions or the styling of the fabric, which people associate with denim. So color is no longer a boundary line, a boundary definition for denim now. The way the fabric is going to be constructed is no longer a limiting factor to the way denim has to be made. Utilization, earlier it was only classified as workwear or largely or casual wear. Today you have a whole lot of comfort wear also being, loungewear also being created using denim. A lot of people would want comfort to come from the denims that they produce, and I'm sure Lenzing is doing a significant job over there of making sure that yes, that you get good products which are very comfortable. So I really doubt, the distinction between denim and knits, I really doubt that exists. We have a whole, the knits business also to some extent can produce tremendously uncomfortable products, which are good for a particular occasion or a particular part of your life cycle. And denim by itself is now, I mean, the funny thing is that yes, when you have brands like Spiker now in India launching denim underwear, so we're really crossing the realms of what is classical denim going to be used for. So I really doubt that yes, denim is going to have its death. Yes, in terms of consumption, in terms of trends, in terms of, as Subir said, the pandemic has forced a lot of people to stay home. And when you're staying at home, you want to stay in something that you're more comfortable at home. So maybe yes, knits has seen a certain amount of rejuvenation. Otherwise, it was more of knits losing their way to denims all across, and maybe yes, for some time knits has had their own glory. Hopefully not. I still remember when Lululemon as a brand was launched, the whole of Vancouver seemed to be wearing only Lululemon leggings uh, right through the day or through the night, or wherever you go, you will only see people wearing Lululemon, as if the leggings or the track pants have become a national uniform. So but yes, I really doubt that. Yes, I really doubt that denim is going to be challenged by knits. But yes, uh, denims. Everyone has to work towards making denims much more comfortable. Uh, Convert them into an all-season product. To bring upon a certain amount of functionality into the product, so that it can serve the purpose uh, of not just casual wear or work wear.
Right, right. A modern definition to denim, which I think, Aamir, you've actually incorporated both at Arvind, between knits and working with denim. What's your thoughts?
I, Tricia, believe that indigo and knits, this is the next frontier. I'm very, I'm very convinced that indigos are going to drive knits and vice versa. Knits, true knits are going to drive the indigo world, and that's the next push. That's the next frontier. Indigo world has already seen woven fabrics, woven denim that look like knits. Now it's moving to the next frontier, where you are really sort of offering them the true comfort of a knit using different knitting technologies. We have launched a line called Infinity, which primarily is infinite possibilities with knits. That's how the word infinity comes in. And we're seeing great adoption. We're seeing really exciting times. We've seen it go into menswear, kidswear, women's wear. Uh, it's very exciting, and we had partnered with Symphony to sort of do this line, and now we're seeing this line really evolve. So I personally feel that that's the real next destination for denims, and this will grow the market. This will grow the market for both, for indigos in knits as well as knits. That's my point of view.
Great, very nice. And what investment is your company making for the next 5 years? Where are you looking at the future? Have your plans changed at all due to the pandemic? Aditya, we'll start with you.
The pandemic has definitely created certain questions in terms of how do we scale up, or how do we, or what do we do going forward. But as such, no, I think the time frame has changed. We would be looking at investments both in terms of greater cleaner technologies, energy saving technologies, as part of our capabilities. And we definitely are looking at various possibilities towards broad basing the total product offering. So knits again is going to be a big area for us. We've already started working towards it. We're also looking at again changing our weaving portfolio also going forward, and seeing what are further additions can we do in order to make sure that we become a one-stop shop. Sometimes we need to depend upon on contract weaving also for fulfilling all our requirements. So but I think it is very difficult to set up a 5-year time frame right now in terms of what exactly will we do. The world is so evolving and so changing, so we need to keep our options open in terms of investment all the time. And the other thing is that yes, in this business you can't always stick to your older plans, so definitely investments are going to be coming in. How soon, when, and how much is all going to be based on the confidence in being able to master that particular product, and more so for being able to ensure that, yes, there is going to be continuity in terms of demand for those particular products.
Yes, yeah, there's such low visibility right now in the market. It does make it challenging. Aamir, how are you addressing future investments at Arvind?
So Tricia, as far as we're concerned, like every organization, this whole pandemic thing, a lot of plans put on hold, but thankfully, the innovation plan that we had, right? Not a single penny was taken away from that budget. And we have gone ahead with all the investment that we had planned on the innovation front. And I really feel, personally, my belief is that, we are on the cusp of a disruption when it comes to indigo, this whole indigo world. I mean, it's almost like, BC and AD, the technologies that we see coming up in the next few years will change the complete landscape. To me, indigo dyeing, indigo finishing, processing, garmenting is going to go through such a major change that world has not seen for so long, right? I mean, for example, foam dyeing, it's a different world, right? When you start, these are traditional dyeing of indigo, these multiple boxes, these huge machines versus what you do, through a new technology. It's a different world. It's almost like, you're comparing a electric vehicle with one of those diesel trucks. That's the kind of difference. And that's true for multiple other technologies, not only dyeing, but, straight away garments being made out of yarns, direct printing on garments. The technology is going to be a revolution, in the coming years, including this whole thing about solvent-based recovery of fibers, mechanical plus chemical fiber recovery. So the world out there in the next few years is going to be very, very different as far as the denim industry is concerned, Tricia. That's my point of view.
Yeah, there's a whole convergence between fashion and technology that we're seeing now, and this is happening at such a quick pace. Subir, for you, what do you see as future investments?
See, I fully agree with Aamir on to remain relevant in the market. Some technological upgradations are absolute must. So it's not for investment in the sense of expanding our capacity, but investing to remain relevant, which is technical upgradation. We're going to invest for sure for green energy. We have to do a lot of upgradation of machinery. We might do a little bit of increased capacity. It's just balancing of what we have. We have more. So I think, in India, it is not COVID which is putting us back. The last 3 years, we had 3 incidences ending with COVID. It had implementation of GST and banning the currency which was in circulation. So Indian economy is hard. The Indian textile economy was 80-90% on cash-based economy. So we had 3 different events which is impacting Indian investment. At the moment, India has probably 30-35% capacity idling in denim. So capacity expansion is something which is not in the plan, but upgrading the machineries, facilities, and green energy is for sure going to do. Pandemic has delayed our investment probably by 6 months, but we're just going to order. Some orders are getting delayed.
Yeah, very, very true. Yeah. Great, and just have one final question then. When we look at the denim industry, it's an $80 billion industry. Statistics state that 20% of apparel produced is never even sold. We all agree that there is more weaving capacity than demand for fabric. And if we're following economics of supply and demand, what do you think will happen to the denim industry? Where is our reset? Subir.
We talk about circularity, sustainability, transparency. One question keeps bugging me. Finally, every industry is trying to do better, and doing better can be done in different ways. So the retailers are trying to do better by selling more. And in the process of trying to selling more, they are under continuous pressure of pricing. And because they're under pressure of pricing, the price pressure comes back to the whole supply chain. Upstream, everyone is under supply chain, under pressure, price pressure. And because I'm under price pressure, I'm trying to cover my overheads by trying to sell more, produce and sell more. So I think the most sustainable way, while we are talking about sustainability, is trying to do more. So I think we have to think about how do we do less. This 20%, 30% going into the without wearing is going to go into the, so your wardrobes are full. We have to think about how do we, I mean, 15 years back, we used to think about an American adult buys 7 pairs of jeans. In India, it is not even 1 pair. So should we be reaching half of American consumption? So that was the growth driver in Indian textile economy. Today, I think that's a very wrong thought process. I don't think we should compete with America sitting in India to increase number of pairs of jeans every individual buy. That means we'll also have as much waste generated out of textiles. So I think we should probably, as the retailers and brands have more responsibility than the supply chain. But the pressure of sustainability coming more onto the supply chain at the moment. So I think we should do less and do things sustainably. That's why I think it's should happen, should strive us for future sustainable economy.
Right. Yeah, it's starting first with consumption. It's a vicious cycle otherwise. Aamir, what do you feel about the future of the market?
Tricia, I am very, very optimistic about the future of the market. I believe human beings essentially want gratification, and a pair of jeans or clothes are the cheapest, right, way of getting great gratification, right? I mean, for a few dollars, right, $30, $40, you're able to get a nice pair of clothing, right, a pair of jeans, and you feel good about it, right? So once things, whatever we're going through is not going to remain like this forever. Finally, like, you know, like Subir was saying, in the Indian context, we went through demonetization, we went through GST implementation, and there were these cycles of you know, doom and gloom. That was the psyche. And then it bounced back, right? The demand bounced back, people went back to business. So obviously, as things go along, hopefully with solutions around the corner, people will get back to sort of buying. Human beings are human beings. That's one bit of it, right? That's one thing for sure, that people are going back into buying. So demand resurfacing, that's one bit of it. Having said that, the sense is that people will want more value for money. They will want products that end up delivering more. And also, as far as the organizations is concerned, you're talking about additional capacities. Our industry is no different than, let's say, the automobile industry or the airlines industry or the hotel industry, right? I mean, everywhere you got a higher capacity versus demand. And it's people who have been able to change themselves, who are able to read the consumers well, who are able to sort of create more value for the consumers, who are able to get on to new technology, IoT, the new ways of working. I think they are the ones who will do well, who will continue to do well. That's how I see things.
That's great. Thank you. So just in closing, in one word, can you tell me how you feel about the industry today? We'll start with you, Aamir.
I'm looking at some very exciting times ahead, Tricia.
Yes.
Coming up.
Great. Aditya, for you, in one word, what would you say about the industry?
Patience pays.
Very good. Yeah. It's hard to do sometimes. And Subir?
I'm enjoying this, slowing down and rethinking, designing my way forward.
That's great. Wonderful. Well, thank you, all of you, for joining today. It's really amazing to have this discussion. I miss seeing you in person and having our chats at trade shows. So we have this to compensate in the meantime. We will open now to some questions. And the first question here is for Arvind. It's the Indigo True Knits that is trying to mash up denim and comfort. Do you think that the price range of the products is keeping away from common reach? What are the comments that you might have, Viresh, on this, since Aamir is not on the call?
Sure. Hi, Tricia, and thanks for the question.
Sure.
So I did read it in the question segment. So yes, you can say that the pricing of the product is keeping it away from common reach, but then you're comparing it with normal knits. this is a mashup of two worlds. So when you compare the pricing of the product with say true indigos or denims, it actually is cheaper. So when you're trying to blend in two different technologies or two different streams of product, this product fits in very well. Just for example, we have an indigo knit product with a clear twill structure like a normal denim, say 60-70% stretch at 56 inches wide. These are in the low to mid twos pricing, which is, I believe, much better than any other normal legging or high stretch denims as well. So in that sense, we feel that this product marries both the worlds very well and gives you an opportunity to be at better pricing levels as well compared to the current legging or knit products.
Great, thank you. And I don't know, will you be then participating, Viresh, next week on any of the Kingpins discussions, or will Arvind be there?
We haven't been participating in a lot of online shows, Tricia, because finally, most of the customers are preferring a one-to-one discussion, which we are doing over Zoom. And fortunately or unfortunately, Kingpin's format has been more of a pre-recorded presentations. So we are taking part in their material exchange online library setup, but we haven't gone ahead with the pre-recorded presentations for the Kingpins 24 as of now.
Okay, great. And here's another great question about some of the machinery, and I think this relates back to the technology that's being launched in the denim manufacturing. And any comments on how AI is going to influence denim manufacturing? And I see that Subir is on the line. Maybe Subir, you would like to start with this one about denim technology and any integration of AI.
Hi, Tricia. AI for denim is probably a bit far away right at the moment. AI is more for advanced technology, so denim is going to remain more grounded, and I don't see AI having an impact on denim straight away.
Okay, great. And then I guess we have Chetan is joining us from Anubha. Do you have any comments on any new technology that you're integrating into Anubha, and any comments on AI?
As far as the new technologies is concerned, I think we are more looking at the renewable sources of energy incorporating into our manufacturing units. That is something which we are looking for, and one of the projects which we are ambitiously trying to pursue is the waste to energy project, where we are trying to create some renewable sources of energy and using waste as an energy. So there is a technology which is sustainable, economically friendly, and also helps us to reduce our so that is where we are looking for.
Great. And then Viresh, do you have any comments on technology? I know that Arvind has also invested in the dry dyeing
foam indigo. So yes.
Yes.
So like Aamir was mentioning that luckily during the pandemic or after the pandemic as well, none of the investments in innovations have stopped or been held back. So this year we have had quite a few new machines being installed in our product. So one is for sure the foam dyeing machine. The other one is we have installed a fabric finishing machine, a couple of them, which really imparts physical softness to the fabrics through various finishing techniques, as well as we are also able to offer products which would be mill washed. So these are a couple of new machines. So you can have a rinse level or enzyme level washing on full width fabric possible with different finishes. So that is something which is up for offer in the coming months, as well as we have been able to get the Genealogia G2 ozone finishing machine. So these are few machines which are set up for enhancing the product offering. And then apart from that, we also mentioned about our zero blue water or zero waste water. So that is something which was done to further our sustainability goals, where we'll have zero blue water in our product.
Wonderful. Great to hear.
Thank you.
And maybe then, Subir, do you want to mention, are you participating in any other marketing platforms, Kingpins, Denims and Jeans, anything else that you would like to highlight that people can find out more information about Bhaskar? Hello, and I know it's so late in the evening for you. Thank you for coming back.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Yeah, and see, we didn't participate in the denims. We just concluded a couple of days back, and not in Kingpin 2. See, we're still figuring out participating on an online show. How does it make sense? I mean, as Viresh was telling that, putting products in a library is easier, where everybody can walk in and look at our product, which we're doing with, we're going to do with Kingpin, Andrew, as well as we're doing with it, and our products are available on the platforms in Denims and Jeans, as well as we're going to do that with Andrew, but not participating for the 2 days.
So they can find you on the Material Exchange. Great.
Yeah,
and
right,
Chetan, can you comment then for Anubha, how can people find you now? What is the best way to connect? Are you on any trade shows or platforms?
I think we have been participating in Kingpins every year. But I think this year we just concluded Denim and Jeans show, and we will also be there in Textile Exchange. I think this year they have a very innovative way of attending the virtual booth, and we are looking forward to attending the Textile Exchange. It is really exciting.
Great. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Textile Exchange is the first week of November. I think it's the 3rd through the 5th. And it is all virtual. You can go online, you can register Textile Exchange. There's various tracks. So whether you're a beginner in understanding how to approach reducing your impacts, or you're someone who's been attending for years, I think they have something for everyone. So great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And then there was another question, which I thought was very interesting, around how does a denim designer kind of, upgrade their skills during this time? Are there any suggestions that you might have on what designers need to be learning in order to stay even more relevant? And Chetan, maybe we'll start with you since you're on the camera now.
Yeah, I think Tricia, as I said, for designers and anybody who is starting their journey, Textile Exchange, I would still say, is a very good platform, because they have the material workshops where you get a lot of information on the upcoming fibers, the existing fibers, the impact the fibers that they have on the humans, on the environment, and all that stuff. Apart from this, there is the Organic Cotton Roundtable and all the upcoming fibers which are going to launch. So that is something, a platform where a designer can at least can do first and try to create more ideas, and he can get more creative into incorporating those fibers and see how the fabrics that he visualizes do actually perform. So he would definitely get more information on the the performance of the fibers, the properties of the fibers in a very informative way, and he can then visualize and try to create a collection out of it. So this is something that this is a very basic workshop where he can just start his journey, and especially in this environment where now people are getting awareness on the sustainability and the health and hygiene of the surroundings and their own lives. So I think that should be a very good learning platform for all of us, and to upgrade our knowledge, and especially for the upcoming designers also, to make in the industry.
I agree with you. It's a very good platform for whether you need basic knowledge and a chance to also network with perhaps people that are outside of who you would normally see. Viresh, do you have any comments on how a designer can upgrade their skills during this time?
So as Chetan rightly mentioned, I believe with so much in the industry going around sustainability and how can we lessen the footprint of our product, Textile Exchange is a great start to learn what new is happening in that industry. But I'm sure most of the designers have the design backing from their studies. What right now they need to enhance or brush their skills on is what all newness is coming in the market. And I believe newness is either from technology front, like I believe one of the product what we are doing, and I'm seeing a lapse in the market where if I go and present a denim product or the knit, indigo knit, to a denim designer, they say, oh, this is knit, my knit team would handle it. And when you go to the knit guy, he would say, oh, this is indigo, so I don't know the washing, maybe my denim team would know it. So marrying skills uh, is another area where I feel these designers should pick up ideas and see what is the need of the market, with work from home being a newer trend and people looking for more ways of comfort and softness. So marrying of two different streams of things, as well as learning of upcoming new fibers from Textile Exchange or other sources, is a great place to start. So say attending, maybe if you are a knit designer, attending a denim 101 class or denim washing class is a good start. Or if you're a denim designer, then maybe getting some knowledge on knit product base would be a good start as well, but trying to mix and match your skills with the need of the times.
Exactly, not just staying in a certain silo. And actually, I would like to ask Mohsin if he has any input. Mohsin is a part of denim history and also does a lot around education. Mohsin, is there anything that you would like to add around denim designer and upgrading their skills?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. That's very kind. I was just going to say, actually, because we've got a great set of people here, very intelligent group of like people, as well as the panel like before that was pre-recorded. I would say that, you know, I've been finding a lot of designers now need to really focus on 3D CAD, which I'm sure most of these guys in the panel would agree, but also get up on their also understand how to edit videos, because so much marketing now, especially with all these online shows, it's all about how you create content and how you portray yourself. And the fact that all of these guys are on like Material Exchange as well as Kingpin Exchange, it's even more important for a designer to know how to edit film and to put together a visual PDF of, you know, because they can definitely get the images across, but converting it into marketing that's easy for these guys to use is the next step. It's actually the bridge, really. I don't know if that was a question.
Yeah, no, I think you bring up a really good point, Mohsin, around, you know, honing in on digital skills.
Yeah.
We've all had to adapt. You and I have talked about this. We didn't even participate in Zoom calls and webinars prior to March 13th.
That's it.
And now it's become a way of life. And I think, you know, that's where designers also have to look. And I think most of the mills have been doing the same, where they've tried to look at digitizing their collection somehow, and bringing that together. So I think it's a good point that you also have to look as a designer. It's looking at new ways to integrate digital technologies into what you're doing.
I'm still pattern cutting and designing, but then I've also had to translate my stuff into 3D because we're not making many samples at the moment. So it's just if it can be translated into 3D, it'll be actually better. So that way they can have those 3D sort of drawings on their Kingpin Exchange or Material Exchange website together with swatches. So the future's looking quite exciting. Actually, for a designer, there's so much work out there. It's just up to the designer to either learn more 3D CAD or 3D drawings in Clo 3D, or understand how to edit a film and then offer their services, because every one of these mills, be it 150 that do like Kingpin show, need help. They all need help. And so
no, exactly. And then the final question I think is very interesting. So it comes from a denim head who's wondering why they don't see more salvage denim out of India. And I know the heritage of India and the khadi denim, but Subir, maybe you can comment then. What about salvage denim? Why doesn't India have more?
I don't know. The question is user perspective or availability perspective. I think some mills in India, like Arvind and Raymond, do have salvage denim, but I think it's more the true connoisseurs of jeans are still lacking in India. It's more street fashion or modern fashion, and salvage is something which is probably not very popular among the users. I think that's the reason. It's not that the mills don't have capability.
Right. So it's more the domestic use of denim has been less around selvage and more, which makes sense. And then maybe Viresh, you can comment, since I know that Arvind does look at some of the more traditional, and you've had some commercial programs here with US brands using your khadi denim. Can you comment, Viresh?
Sure. So, Tricia, we do have a wide range of selvage offerings as well. Apart from khadi, we do run a regular program with Levi's on the 501. But somehow selvage has always been associated with the authentic, true American feeling. So most of the times we get the overruns. So till the time cone was around, people would first place orders on cones, and once the cone capacity is filled, then they would give the overruns to us. The same goes with Japanese as well. So the whole idea, if someone is trying to sell $150 or a $200 pair of jeans, they also want to promote with it, saying that this is a selvage jeans made with US fabric or made with a Japanese fabric. So to further answer this question, just to break the shackle of selvage is only from US or from Japan or from an Italian mill. That's where we came up with the khadi denim, which is a selvage offering, and it's an old tradition in India. So happy to inform that we did the khadi program with Gap, but now we are entering and doing a larger continuous ongoing program with Patagonia on khadi, which should be on board. We are starting production, and which should be on board sometime starting next year. So they are doing khadi denim bottoms as well as khadi tops, all indigo dyed. So that is going to be a further foray or pitch towards pitching the story that textile is the oldest art form probably deriving in India. And this is where we can push the selvage story within the whole concept.
Wonderful. I love that.
Thank you.
Great to hear. And so our denim head can now also look to Patagonia as a brand. So thank you. We'll close with that. I want to thank everyone for joining us, and especially our participants joining us very late from India. I really value your time and your thoughts regarding this conversation. So I'm going to sign off with our mini jean. This is our TENCEL denim mini jean that shows up on all of our denim think tanks. Our next session, Denim Think Tank, won't be until November 5th because we have a lot of activities coming up next week with Kingpens and Amsterdam Denim Days. If you want to tune in, Amsterdam Denim Days is Friday the 30th of October and Saturday the 31st. We all have some great conversations with the brands there. And then November 5th, tune in because we're having LENZ Austria live. We're having an open house of our facility in LENZ Austria. So I'm sure that's one you won't want to miss, because since we can't get on an airplane, we're going to bring it to you digitally through Zoom. So thank you everyone for joining us. And I want to say thank you to Mohsin and to Sadia for your support in putting this conversation together today. And thanks everyone. Have a good evening. Bye.
Thanks, Tricia. Bye.